Hey everyone, I'm David. I'm an architect based in the US, and in this tutorial, I'll show you how to draw sections and elevations twice as fast as in AutoCAD. We'll walk through creating drawings for a building permit set, an existing facade, a proposed facade, and a section. I'll be using Rayon Design, a browser-based tool for 2D architectural drawings. With its wall tool, style presets, and a huge block library, including side views, it makes the process that much faster. To follow along, just create a free account and open the template linked below. Let's get started. So first off, what are sections and elevations? Sections and elevations give us a vertical look at a building. Sections cut through the interior to reveal what's inside, while elevations show the exterior from different viewpoints. These drawings are key to understanding proportions, materials, and how spaces connect. Whether you're designing a new build or renovating, they're a crucial part of any architectural set. Alright, so as you can see here, I've got my permit set open and we've got a few blank pages here, and these are, placeholders for our exterior elevations and our building sections. So the first thing I'll do is, and this is just in terms of my own organization, you can do it however you like, but the way I like to organize is I've got a paper canvas with all of my plot sheets, and then I use model canvases for all my different drawing types. So I'll go ahead and add a new model canvas, and I'll label this existing exterior elevations. All right, and I'm actually going to drag this up because I know I want to have this kind of below my floor plans. And first thing I'll do is, I'll change that stroke scale. I know that these are going to be put on sheets at 1/4 inch equals a foot scale. And then I'll go and check that my units all look good. Maybe precision can be at 1/8 inch. I don't need to get super detailed. And then the first thing I'll do is I would like to, have my datums. And so full disclosure, I cheated a little bit with this, so I went and copied this already. This is just derived from the site survey and then my own measurements. And so I go through and I know, where is the curb height? And then in relation to that, what is all of our ceiling heights? And then that gives me kind of the floor sandwich and all of that information that we need to actually get our drawing done. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring a photograph in of the exterior of the house. So I'll go up to the menu, import image, and I've already got this one set up. And so I can just have this over on the side for reference. And I can get this kind of, similar in scale to what I'll be drawing. All right, and then the next thing I want to do is actually, bring the plan in as views so that I can actually draw some reference lines and start to put together, this elevation. Since I have these horizontal datums, now I need to bring those verticals in. So first thing I'll do is I'll go to our view tool and I'll go to our canvases. And because I'm doing the existing elevations, I'll bring in our existing floor plans. And I'll just marquee that there. And then I'll want to check the scale. So this is at full scale. And let's see. I basically want to see the front of each floor. And so the way I'll do that, I'll kind of bring this in. All right. And then I'll just simply hit C, and that'll create a copy. And then I can go and start to, bring these in. And then I'll copy this one again. And that's gonna help me get those second and third floors in. All right. And right now, these are all lined up because of the way I organize this. But now I want to see, maybe I want to bring this in just like a couple feet from where I'm showing that dimension string. So I'll do a reference line and I'll orient vertical, and then I'll just line it up with the dimension line, and then maybe I'll do, 2 feet there. All right, and then now I can go in and move these where I need them to be. And this is actually looking a little busy, so I'll go ahead and I'll open up this view and I don't need to see that square footage take off. So I'll do the same thing on this one as well. And while I'm at it, why don't I turn off those tags? It's really just kind of distracting. And while this might not seem like a huge deal with these existing floor plans, once you get into the proposed where you have, a whole bunch of door window tags and elevation tags and all of that, it starts to get really distracting and busy on the drawing. So from here, I'll actually go ahead and I'm going to continue to draw these reference lines. And I can actually go down here. I can either toggle by clicking this, or I can go and just type an L. But what that allows me to do is I can basically continuously use this tool. And so I don't want to get too carried away. I'm not going to do my doors and windows just yet. But if I can start to get those massings in, that's really kind of the goal. All right. Maybe I'll do this garage door as well. All right, and so the first thing I want to do once I'm actually producing this drawing is I want to get that ground line in here. So similar with the datum lines, I brought in the ground line here just so I have that correct height. And so if I look at the picture here, we can see it's flat at the neighbors, then it slopes down at this planter box, and then it's flat at the garage door, slopes down again, and then it's flat at the front door or that front entry gate. Which this is actually what the site survey references as our curb height. So I've got that datum here for the curb, and then I've got the garage slab here. So we're in pretty good shape. We have our heights, and so now I just need to make sure that I'm tracking with these right reference lines and just getting to the right places that I need to get to. And so the first thing I'm going to do, I like this this style as my ground line. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I'll call that ground line. So super simple. And then I'll go ahead and do a polyline, and I could do this now or I could do it later, but I'm going to go ahead and do a ground line style type here. And then I'll just trace across where I know all of this is. All right, I'm going to go ahead and delete that one that was there from the beginning. All right, so now we're really set up to, start referencing things up from our ground line. All right, and then for the fun part of actually starting to develop our drawing. And so first, I'm going to go and look at the layers and make sure that this is kind of set up the way I want it to. So I like to put default on top just because then whatever I'm drawing kind of defaults there. Annotations is good to have next. And let me see what layer this put on. So I'm going to start to add, a ground line layer. And I'm going to keep that above a lot of things so that, I can make sure that that really stays on top. And I'll put annotation above that. And let's see. So I know I'm just going to have like a building layer, and that's going to be kind of the primary building elements. And so that'll be below the ground line, and actually, shadows, that's going to be above the building. And I know we're going to have doors and windows, and we're going to have trim. All right, so we can start there. We can always add on later. And I'll bring these, below here. Yeah, maybe trim can go below. All right. And I'm going to switch my to my active layer to the default just for now. But so first I'm going to draw a rectangle. And this is just going to be kind of the main body of the building. All right. So I'll just start at that bottom right corner. And we're showing this as the maximum allowable building height. So I'll go to the top of the parapet. All right. And we're showing this as the ground line, but I'm going to go ahead and detach. And I'm going to make this quite a bit less thick. So maybe 16. And then I'm going to add a fill. And here's where we can start to, have some fun with this. So I'm gonna go, and because this is kind of a stucco, I want to give it some texture. So maybe we'll start with like a, like a concrete kind of color. And I could kind of carry this through and try to make it match, but really what I want is, I want this to reference. I don't want it to be a super direct. So I'm gonna go and start to, lighten this up a bit. And maybe I want to add just a little bit of that kind of color to it. So let's see. Don't want it to be green. Maybe just a little bit of warmth. And I think I'm fine with that. So we can start with that. And then I'll go and drop this onto our buildings layer. And then because I want this to actually be trimmed out below the, at the ground line, I'm actually going to double click in here. And first I'll just move that line up, and then I'll start to add some nodes to really specify this outline. And that's all really easy to do. You can just add it in and then drag it. And so there we've got kind of the start of the building. And actually, I'm not too happy with the color here, so maybe I'll bring it there and then just desaturate a little bit. All right, so a little purpley, but that's fine. The building is kind of purple. All right, and then I'm gonna bring over, let's see, I'll go over to our buildings layer and start to just develop, a few more of the massings from our existing building. So I'll do a rectangle, and we're already set on that building texture. So I can really easily start to rough this out. So I've got that bump out here, and then I know I want to get the that kind of setback on the garage door, and then also this setback at the stairs, just to kind of give an idea of where things are. And I'm gonna go ahead and change this to, maybe I'll do like a black, and then I'll give it like a 20% opacity, just to give it some kind of shadow. And we can always go back in later on and add the actual garage door and start to give it a little bit more life. But for now, I'm just trying to mask this out. So I'm actually going to delete all my guidelines because they're starting to get a little busy. And you'll notice, like, as I'm doing the guidelines, unfortunately it's like showing below, and that's because I was actually a little bit careless, and I'm showing these views on the default layer, and those don't want to be all the way on top. So I'll create another view or another layer, call it views, and I'll dump these on that views layer. And that way it's always below what we're trying to look at. So I'll go ahead and I'll do some reference lines for our stairs, and I'll just copy this over. See how everything just really easily snaps? That just makes it really easy to put together this kind of drawing, right? And it's subtle, but we've got a slight arch here. And so that is also really easy to put in. I can just double click into the shape and then click on that edge. And then I can convert to an arch. And I can just drag that up however I need to. So all really easy to do. All right. And then next, maybe I want to do some windows. And so you can see here, maybe I'll do like these top windows because that's a good example of what we want to look at. It's really easy to get disorganized with windows because there's so many different things that you want to put in. So there's the trim, and then there's the glass and the frame and all of that. And so maybe just, to keep things organized, I like to do this in groups. So first I'll go ahead and, because this is that third floor, I'll just show like where we've got those kind of step backs in the window. All right. And then, from when I measured, if I was doing this for real, I would be referencing back and forth to my notes where I actually measured the heights of the windows. But let's just pretend for now that we actually know where this is. So let's see, if that's our floor line, then maybe the sill is at 2 feet. All right. And then maybe those windows are 5 feet tall. And again, I'm just making that up. If I was doing this for real, I would be checking my measurements, but this is good for now. So first I'll go ahead and I'll just marquee that area off. And I'm going to make this just white, and I'll make it, like a lighter, a lighter line type here. And I'll put this on the doors and windows. And I'll change this to just a simple white. And that's going to make things really clear. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and offset this, say, because this is going basically to to the frame of the windows. And so if I want to see, maybe that's like a 3-inch or I don't know, we'll see what looks good. But let's see. Yeah, I'll do a 4-inch trim. And again, I would have this all measured out if I was doing it for real. So there I've got the frame, and I actually know that I'm going to add an extra sill in here, so maybe I'll do that first. Actually, kind of an easy thing to do is I can just copy this down, and I know that I want this to be, maybe I want this to hang over by 2 inches. And then once I have one side set, it's automatically gonna snap to have this aligned, so it'll be really easy to bring that out on the other side as well. Height, maybe I want this to be just like 2.5 inches. And it's gonna put it in the center, so all I have to do is then just drag it up. All right, and now that I'm started with the window, this is a great time to group it. So I'm just gonna do Command G, so that's gonna group those together, and then I can step into this group and it's going to kind of gray everything else out so I can really focus here. All right. And then I'll go ahead and draw rectangles for each of these. And it's all set to that building. But maybe I'll bring this down to 8. And because this is the glass, I want to get kind of a nice blue, which I can either do it this way or I can go into our palette. And maybe I want to do this and just, do kind of a lighter, and that's starting to look pretty good to me. And another thing that I like to do is I like to give it just a little bit of a shine. So, maybe I'll do like a polyline and do triangle. Obviously, I don't want this to be plaster. But actually, it works really well to have no stroke. And then I can do like a little bit of a white and then really dial this back, So maybe I'll just punch it in at 20%. All right. And then I can go copy this over twice. And make this one just a little bit bigger. And I want to match where that is. And it looks like I lost my triangle for the glint. So I'll go ahead and send backwards, and now everything is looking good. And I know I'm not showing all this added trim, or muns and mullions, but that's something that I can always go back in and add once I have more time. And then the other thing that I like to do is shadows. And so this can be really helpful in showing just, how how a drawing or how a building's massing really works. And so I can go in and do, maybe I'll just do a rectangle, and maybe I want this to be 2 feet. And again, I'll detach this. I'll go no stroke and black, maybe 10%. I want this to be lined up here. And let's see, I want to move that over. So we got a little bit of an angle, and then I'll also do another one here. All right. So we can really easily start to develop these, and I'll go ahead and dump these on the shadows layer, and I'll also just make shadows my active layer. And then I can go in and add just a little bit of relief here as well. And maybe there as well. So really easy to just start to develop this drawing. And I'll go ahead and stop here and jump ahead to show you kind of a further developed drawing of this. All right, and so I kind of jumped ahead, and so here's kind of the finished product of our existing front facade. And so I've also gone ahead and added in, profiles of the neighboring buildings, and then a bunch of annotations for, the gate and the material and all that stuff, and all this added details for the windows. And so that was all, brought in through this picture and also through my own measurements. So really easy to just bring in all of this trim, all of these different elements. And then I also, used this drawing to then go ahead and draw our existing rear facade, and then also all of our side elevations. And, here in California, we're expected to show profiles of our neighboring buildings to make sure that, windows aren't encroaching onto, directly onto a neighbor. And so, we've got this like neighbor light well and kind of the massing shown so that we're really proving like where things are. And so it was really easy to go through and put this together. You can see I've got this like neighbor dash layer set up. And so I was really easily able to kind of show this like dashed and kind of shaded area for those. And I was also able to develop, our deck on the back, which is for this project is actually being demolished. And we're building a new deck. And so here I can go ahead and show you, basically I copied all of our existing elevations and then I just made some edits. And so here, front facade, totally unchanged. And then here at the back, we're actually building out this lower level. And then we're adding on, a new deck on top of that lower level with a spiral stair. And so, again, this is like a little bit more complicated, but I was really easily able to just draw this in Rayon Design. As well as, we have to have some window details. And so I was able to bring in, these detail tags and just easily go and tag this into our drawing. And then same thing with our side elevations, all really easy to do. Next, let's take a look at how to actually develop a building section. So a lot of that information we can actually derive straight from our exterior elevations, or we've already done a lot of the legwork here. So first, same as the elevations, I'm going to go ahead and create a new canvas, and I'm going to call that building sections, and I'm going to drag that just below our elevations. And then because we can take a lot of this information, first, let's see, I already have, added some section cuts. So I know we're looking this way. And so I'm going to go ahead and copy a lot of this stuff. And we can just take this, I'm going to copy and paste straight in here. So that's already a really good starting point. And then just to make this really clear for myself, I'm going to go ahead and just draw a line across here. And make sure our default is up at the top. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this my red dashed. So it's really obvious to me. All right. And then I can also just copy this down to the other levels. So no matter what level I'm on, I know exactly what I'm cutting through, you know. So this is cutting straight through those doors, all the way across, and I know I'm cutting through the stairs and laundry, and so I'm not going to get confused with where I'm looking. So sections is, you know, same as the elevations. We're going to start by using our guidelines, and so let's see, maybe I'll, you know, start here, and I'll go for the infinite. So first I'll just go for kind of what are we cutting through. All right, and so the first thing that I want to do is just to fill in the information that we're already showing here. So we're already showing our floor and ceiling datums. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new layer for, maybe I'll call this poche. So that'll account for both our floor and our walls. Rather than calling it building or walls or something, poche is just kind of a good catch-all. So first, I'll just go to a wall tool, and I'll just start tracing this. And I can easily go here, and if I know, you know, we've got 11 inches, so I'll go ahead and just make this 11 inches. And I think I'm actually showing a lighter line weight on my walls, and so I know in the walls I'm showing 16 millimeters, so that's fine. And I'll go ahead and I'll copy this throughout. And I know that's not quite right there, but that's fine. I can adjust that later. And let's see, this is at 11 and a half. And here is at 1 foot 5.5. So all really easy to do. And actually, I know that this is going to come down, so maybe I'll make this 1 foot. And next I'll actually go over, this is kind of a shortcut or a cheat code that I found. If you go over to your floor plans, and you can start to copy the walls that are being cut through. And here's my section line, so that's going to cut through there. So I'll copy that, and I'll come back to our building sections, and I'll just paste and make sure my orientation is correct. But I can just go and rotate it that way. And then I've got these all in the right place. And then it's just a matter of trimming out, you know, where everything is. And I want this to trim. And maybe for these ones, I don't want it to show that hatch. So maybe I'll just select all of these, and I'll just switch to a solid white fill like I have on everything else. And it looks like the line weights might have also carried through here, so there I'll do that 16 as well. And then I can do really the same thing on each of the next layers, each of the next levels as well. So I can go back to kind of our main level, select every wall that we're cutting through, copy, and paste in place here. And I can use this as a reference. And this one I actually do know is going all the way up to the roof. So that's how I'm going to set that parapet. All right. So all super easy to do. And I actually like to use the zones tool to show what the rooms are. So I know that this is typically used in floor plans, but it works just the same in the sections as well. So I can just, go over to zones and just start to fill in all of these. And for down below, I know I haven't drawn the cut line for the ground in yet, but I can really easily just draw, once I have that in, I can draw the zone divider in as well. So then I can also start to identify these areas. And so let's see, I know that we've got the living room, the stair hall, and the dining room. So I can just go through and call this living room and stair hall and dining room. And if I realize that I made a mistake like this of, oops, I don't want my zones to be on my poche layer, that's all really easy to change. So I can go in here, create a new layer, call it zones. Maybe I'll put that below the poche. And I want to my default above as well. And I can go and select similar, same type, and just change all of that to zones. And from there, I can also start to add in some layers, So I'll actually add another layer for trim. And the same thing would apply for the doors and windows that we were looking at before, right? And I'm going to put trim below poche and all of that so that it doesn't, mess with my line weights. But so maybe we have this baseboard that's, 6 inches tall. And I can make this a little thicker, and maybe this is, kind of a wood grain. So maybe I want to give it a kind of a brown, just a kind of reference. And let's see. This house has a lot of wood. And so actually what I'm drawing here is that room back there. So it's got a wainscot, so maybe I'll just copy that up. And I'll give this, like a 2 foot. And maybe even a little chair rail up there. So 4 inch. So all really easy just to start developing. And then similar to in floor plan where you're inserting, openings into your walls, I've actually created my own block libraries for some doors and windows. So I'll go ahead and start to just add in, let's see, here's a window section and here's a door section. So I'm going to go ahead and, oh, it looks like I brought this in twice. But I'll go ahead and drag this in, and I'll set that directly on top of that wainscoting. And here's my door and section, same thing. I'm going to position that here, and it looks like that came in upside down, but that's easy to fix. And I'll just position it that way. And I can just very easily start to copy this across and through the spaces. And say I wind up with one door that's a lot taller than the others, I can just go and make this component unique. And then I can go and edit and say it's a foot taller, then I can just very easily go ahead and make that taller. So all really easy to go through and edit and make your own. And then last thing that I want to show you is with blocks. And so with Rayon's block library, and I know I'm not cutting through anything specific right now, but maybe let's take a look at this dining table. So maybe, let's see, I'll go over to our new floor plans and I'll just copy this over. All right. And I'll go over to our block definition, and this is going to give me the other views of this block. And so I can really easily then go and just change this to our elevation. And so if I, as I continue to develop this section, I can really start to show, all of the, elevations and other views of the things that I've already placed and located in floor plan. And once again, I've actually jumped ahead and finished up these sections. And so I've developed not just the longitudinal section, but also this transverse. And so I was, using the wall tool for all of these, using the zone tool to identify these rooms. I had to add some annotation, for dimension strings and some, door swings, that kind of thing. I did use some more of these blocks. So for the laundry machines and the plumbing fixtures, and I messed around with some of our styles to make sure that I could actually show these stairs dashed beyond that wall. And so a lot of this is just really easy to develop using Rayon. And the last thing that we want to do is actually set up a sheet and get it ready to present. And so as you can see, I've already got my existing elevations here and I've got my building sections here. But I do want to show you just how to bring our proposed elevations in. So there's kind of two stages that you might be at in terms of setting up a sheet. So because I've got a bunch of sheets already set up here, the easiest thing for me to do is basically to, copy this and just drag it down. And it looks like it's got my order a little bit messed up, so that's easy to fix. I can just go in here and maybe I'll go ahead and rename this. So let's see. I want this to be a 3.3 proposed elevations. So now I can just go in here and I can find my, there's my proposed elevations. And I just want to bring that down below my existing. And then from here, let's see. These are still showing my existing elevations. And so I want to make sure that I'm keeping these in the same place, but I want to see, a different drawing. So I'll make sure that those are there. And then I'll go ahead and switch this to new exterior elevations. And then make sure we've got our scale set to 1/4 inch. And then I'm just going to go and find what I'm looking for here. Nope. And because I did those guidelines, I can make sure that this is in the right place. And then I can go and crop out what I don't want to see here. So that's kind of the easiest way once you're already set up. But if you are just getting started, there's, the other way is to just simply use the Pages tool. And so I can just go to Pages, and I'm going to do a little off-center just so we know it's not. And I can do whatever size I want. Then once I have that set, I can leave it as custom, or I can go in here and have it match the rest of my sheet set with that nice 24 by 36. And then I'll go ahead and drag this to a line. All right, and then I've gone and created this title block for myself. And so I'll once again go back into my own block libraries. And here I've got title blocks and stamps. And so I can just drag my own title block in here and just put it in place. And then same thing here. I'm just gonna, copy that over. And it looks like I've got that in the wrong spot, but I can very easily bring that to the front of the layer, and that's why this is showing somewhere else. So I'll bring that back. All right, and then I can go here, propose extra elevation, and what was this, 3.4? I might be wrong on that, but that's fine. Similarly, these drawing tags were brought in through Rayon's block library, so I can just do a search for maybe title. And so we've got all of these options available. And instead of sorting through all of this, I've already gone and found the ones that I like. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that down. And then same thing, I'll just use our views tool, and this was set to the site plans, but I can really easily just go and change that to our new elevations, 1/4 inch, and that worked out well. This is exactly what I was trying to get. So I can really easily then just bring this in and crop it, get it exactly where I want it to be. And I can go in here and yeah, that's drawing 1, and that is a 3.4. And this is proposed, I believe that said north, so I'll assume that that's correct. And so that's all really easy to do. And now let's see, that is number 14. But I can go through and make sure that this is all showing correctly and bring that up. And then I can always go and export. And that's it. That's how I draw a detailed and sleek section in Rayon. Twice as fast as in AutoCAD with fewer manual edits. If you want to try this exact setup, just open the template in the link below. It's fully editable and free to use. Thanks for watching, and if you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more speed boosting tutorials just like this one.